Hi, my name is Brian Benson with James Bean Estate Sales, and one of the things that people don't think about when we're doing estate sales is how often we get lied to, and not by the customer, but also a lot of times by the client. And a lot of times what happens is the client is trying to make us believe the stuff that they have is worth more than it really is. And a lot of this will come down to they will over exaggerate how much they paid for something. And, like one time we had a lady who, she was exaggerating how much she had paid for these sofas. She kept telling us she paid $5,000 each for a pair of sofas. And I looked at them and I said, I know that they're nice sofas, but I know that you didn't pay $5,000 each. And she was like, well, yes, I did. And I said, no. I said, I've sold these sofas many times. I've had receipts on them many times. They all came from one specific store. That store, they were always running a special for $14.95 a sofa. And that the $5,000 was the suggested retail price that they advertised, but they were always sold for $14.95. And then suddenly she remembered, oh yeah, that was $14.95, when I actually showed her the actual copies of the receipts that we still had. Another shoots is also the lady who, when we were selling a dress of hers, she claimed that she had paid $2,000 for a dress. That, as I'm looking at the dress in front of her, I pull out the string tag that still said $99 that she had bought at a discount store. And like I said, this happens quite a bit. It also happens on cars where people will try to tell me that, oh, the cars work great, and I get in the car and the cars won't even start, this type of thing. The worst scenario of this that ever happened was on a Thomas Kincaid print. And this Thomas Kincaid print, the people gave me the receipt, and I looked at the receipt, and it was for about $4,800 plus tax. And I was quite shocked that I didn't know that any Thomas Kincaid print, this wasn't an original, this was just a print, could ever cost this much money, even framed. So they gave me the receipt, and I'm trying to look it up and trying to get a value so we can get a fair market value for it. And no matter what I looked up, I never could get a price anywhere close to this $4,800. I kept coming up with $300 or $400 in resale, and I just could not get these two numbers to match up at all. And finally, I go to the Thomas Kincaid website, find out that they're still selling this print. It's still framed. It's still framed. They can still get the exact same print, and even brand new from Thomas Kincaid, it was only $1,200. And I could not figure out what the discrepancy was until I was looking at the receipt and realized that the sales tax figures didn't match for the amount. That when you looked at the $4,800 they spent for the print, that the sales tax on it did not add up if you figured out Oklahoma City sales tax. So when I calculated, it was wrong, and the more I looked at the receipt, the more I realized that what they had done was they had taken a receipt and they had changed the $1,200, and they had written over and changed that $1,200 into a $4,800, and they just wrote over it with heavier, thicker marker. Then they photocopied the receipt and gave it to me, trying to convince me that this was an expensive print. So what happened was I called the family and said, hey, I've got news for you about this print. And they were like, oh, they were very excited to learn, what I had discovered. And I explained to them that, that the receipt was was obviously fraudulent. And suddenly the husband and wife who were together when they purchased it suddenly knew nothing at all about the receipt, didn't know why the receipt said $4,800. They insisted they spent that much money, but then suddenly they didn't know anything about the receipt or how it got altered or anything like this. And, luckily I had caught this, because had I not caught it and I had tried to sell it to a customer or sold it to a customer who later did research on this, obviously it was going to come back not on them, but it would come back on me. And it would be our company's reputation that would have been, dragged through the mud for misrepresenting or possibly, perpetuating a fraud. And this is something that people don't think about. Our ability to deliver a good buying customer base is based off of our reputation, and if we have a bad reputation, we can't bring customers to your door to bring your merchandise. So always say, kind of think about this if you're doing an estate sale. Make sure that you're always honest with us. It doesn't do any good to lie about stuff or misrepresent stuff. We've been in this business for over 20 years. It's very rare that someone's going to tell me something that I don't already know to be true or untrue. And we catch a lot of stuff, and obviously if we catch our customers misrepresenting stuff once or twice, then we're going to start analyzing everything they say to us. So kind of keep that in mind if you're hiring an estate sale company. Make sure that you're open and honest with them as much as you can. So if you'd like to hear more crazy stories about things that have happened at our estate sales or back when we used to own an antique store and an antique mall, feel free to subscribe to our channel or sign up for our email list on our website at jamesbeanestatesales.com. And every week you'll get an email notifying you of our new videos and also all of our upcoming sales. Thanks.